my name again is LP, and I'm going to quickly introduce everyone. So first and foremost, we have Mrs. Tiffany Alexander. Mrs. Tiffany Alexander serves as the Vice President for Government Affairs with Carter Howell Advocacy Group. She has over a decade of experience in policy and advocacy with the federal government. Her expertise in leading national mandates has aided her to lead her stakeholders in resiliency, strategic thinking, and operational efficiency. Next, we have Ms. Carla Jackson. Ms. Carla Jackson serves as the Chief Operating Officer and co-founder of J3 Management Group. With over 2 decades of motor vehicle tag title claims and vehicle upfitting, Mrs. Jackson's experience provides the foundation and comfort to her investors and their customers while streamlining their vehicle registration and management and processes to maximize efficiency. And last but not least, we have Ms. Laura Dutton. Ms. Laura Dutton serves as the Chief Executive Officer and also co-founder of J3 Management Group. Mrs. Dutton also brings over 2 decades of fleet management and title experience to this panel. In addition to serving as the CEO of J3 Management Group, Mrs. Dutton also serves the community through mentorship, sponsoring community events. So, the first question that I'm going to pose to all three are, what are some of the common yet important procedures that fleet managers and organizations often overlook when handling vehicle title, registrations, and renewals? And I'm going to start off with you, Mrs. Jackson.
A lot that is missed is keeping copies. Make a copy before you send it out, and keep a copy. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Keep a copy.
Keep a copy.
Keep a copy. A lot of times titles go missing, MSOs go missing. Having a copy is a great place to start.
So can I just speak to that? I just had an email from a director. We just had elections and they can't find their vehicle registration. And of course, a vehicle registration, why? Because someone got into a car accident. And I am here, right? So there's very little that I can do. So I reach out to my staff, hey, I need a copy of this vehicle's registration. Someone of importance just got into a car accident and the police are asking for it. Oh, we don't keep copies of the vehicle registration. We put that in the car. So the driver doesn't have it, and I just know that my staff doesn't have it. So I am definitely going to be gleaning from this. But one of the solutions that I'm going to do when we get back, not only just keep a copy, but our fleet management system, we use AssetWorks, scan it, and attach it to the car. So when you have your fleet management system, you're scanning it, and the vehicle registration, the intake form, the PDI, the title, all of that is included in one book, and it's with the vehicle. So yes, definitely keep a copy.
Yeah, and it's also best as well for the drivers to take a picture of those having in their car. I was interviewed for disaster relief on being prepared when the drivers, if their cars are damaged, or they're trying to get into a disaster area, showing the proof of why they need to be there, why that car is there, why that car has to leave. And if you don't have the actual tag receipt, you can get it on your, have it on your phone, because you never know if the internet's going down, power's going down. It's like, okay, now how are they going to send that to me?
Exactly.
So yeah, have it on your phone as well.
Laura?
Centralize.
I'm sorry, Tiffany, I apologize, I was looking at Laura.
Yes. Centralize and digitize is definitely important. And I would also say dealing with titles when you're talking about interdepartmental transfers and managing those assets is also something that's always an issue. Because you don't know the status of that title, which is really important.
So when we talk about digitizing, a lot of people are analog and they prefer to have that piece of paper, but pieces of paper gets lost. A lot of times when you take a photo or if you scan something, it's in the cloud and people have this disconnect. They think it's a physical cloud sometimes. No, it's in the cloud, and even if the internet were to go away, let's say an EMP were to happen, it's not disappearing. As soon as all services come back, your information comes back. But that picture on your phone lasts. As long as you have your cell phone, you have that picture and you can show proof. I've had to give letters to staff during COVID and say yes, that they are allowed to be on the road because it was minimal operations and they were shut down. So that is great information. Thank you so much. What procedures should an organization have in place for tag and title processes? So let's say, for example, I am with the police department and I have a grant, right? And I just decided I have a blank check and I'm gonna go to this dealership and I wanna purchase 15 cars. What should my process be as a fleet manager when I'm informed that someone just purchased 15 vehicles off the lot?
First and foremost, hopefully they have a database to enter those vehicles, those VIN numbers into their system, making their copies. And if they don't process those in-house, if they use a third party such as J3, you making sure you're giving them all the information that is needed, consider the MSO, your insurance certificate, letting them know how you want that vehicle titled and tagged to with correct addresses, or where do you want this stuff mailed to, and knowing once it's completed, how are you going to store that title? Are you just storing that title in a drawer? Where is that title? How are you managing your titles to making sure that when that asset is being transferred, damaged, you can get to that title quickly because that's money?
So thank you for that. So Tiffany, can you expand on that question? So as Laura mentioned, that there needs to be these processes and steps. How should a fleet manager turn that into a standard operating procedure?
I would definitely say a VIN-based tracking system. I mean, it's going to be your easiest thing. So I would say make sure that you have a VIN-based tracking system, and then also you've acquired these vehicles. What are you going to do on your renewals? Making sure that you have a 90-day trigger system on renewals will also help you cut down on any late fees, any lapses, which is also going to help you with your standard operating procedures.
Very good. Laura?
I would say to expound on that 90 days is know how far in advance you can renew that vehicle. Because if you can renew it 90 days in advance, you don't want the trigger to start at 90 days. You need more time in case you need to have some other requirements. Does it need an emissions? Does it need an inspection? You want those things done in time enough so when that 90 days hits, you can go ahead and have it renewed. That way you won't, if there are delays, you start in 90 days in advance. So you should have it renewed on time.
Understood. So with standard operating procedures or SOPs, one of the things that I have done in addition to applying all of the feedback and suggestions that they have given is I've met with not only just my stakeholders, but my staff. I have a fuel and logistics team of about 5. And so writing all these steps down and making sure that it is not only analog on paper, but it is signed off by the county exec or any governing official, and it's available online. That way we can send it to anyone. But those standard operating procedures are step-by-step of vehicle intake for grants, vehicle intake for internal funds, vehicle intake for actual vehicle replacement fund. And that way, if something happens to me or my staff, it's a succession plan, and anyone can come behind me or anyone on my fuel logistics team and follow those steps, such as what they've all laid out. In that way, no one misses a beat, there aren't any concerns, and we're following all state and federal regulations for tag and title. So one of the things that you've talked about is that 90-day mark, right? And of course, standing operating procedures. But sometimes things happen, such as tolls, tickets, citations, administrative fees. Can you share the impact that those things have on vehicle registrations? Laura, I'll start with you.
That can ground your whole fleet. One citation. When a driver receives that citation, they're not thinking about, at the end of the day, turning in that citation to let you know, I just received this ticket. They're thinking about going home. So before you know it, that vehicle, that citation has gone into collections, or that vehicle is in the impound. And once you find out, now that vehicle has been sold at the auction. So it's best to get with a, what is called the ticket management,
Yeah.
because certain,
They can actually track the tickets. They can track the tickets before it even hits collections. They'll already know, hey, this vehicle has a ticket, and they can let you know through the database, hey, you have tickets out here, you can pay them right here on the spot, or you can pay them on your own, we can help you pay for them. That way your vehicle does not get stopped from being renewed. Depending on where your vehicles are located and registered, it can stop your whole fleet that's attached to that one vehicle. Now you can't renew any of them. Or you lost a decal, you can't get another decal until you take care of those tolls, those tickets. So, of course, government, they want their money.
So can you expand on the vehicle, the ticket tracking system? What does that look like? I'm not sure if anyone has heard of a ticket tracking system that can be utilized, that may be beneficial to a lot of fleet managers, especially in government, because we all have employees. Some of them are contractors, some of them are permanent, and as you said, they're not thinking about the tickets or the tolls that they get.
So some of the ticket tracking, you can get a dashboard and you'll see, oh, I've got these many tickets that need to be paid. I can pay them through this system that is connected to our system, or I can go directly to where they got the ticket from and pay it before it gets into collections. So there are the systems that will connect to your dashboard, or you can get a report emailed every morning.
It's okay, keep going.
There might be a report every morning that will tell you how many vehicles have tickets on them or tolls. You may not get them through the mail because your mailing address may not be where you're actually located and you handle those tickets. So you have, so that way you can track them without having to physically get the ticket.
and before it racks up to $30,000. We had a client who had $30,000 worth of citations.
I'm sorry, I'm gobsmacked.
Yes.
Tiffany, you were going to say?
I was going to say, it also can affect your budget. When you're talking about getting budget renewals and you're having to go before your county commissioners or you're going before your city council, if you've got all these citations, you're not able to truly show what your debt to income ratio is or what your profit and loss is, and that can affect you in getting your budget approvals, getting renewals on your fleets, and even purchasing more assets.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that. So I've run into this issue in Prince George's County, Maryland. People drive vehicles like they stole it, right? But Prince George's County, Maryland is also supporting Baltimore as well as Fairfax County, Washington, D.C. Our drivers go throughout the region and they will get tolls, they'll get citations. And so fleet, it comes out of my budget. It used to come out of my budget, I would say. So we would just pay the tolls and citations out of desperation because all the vehicles are tagged and titled to my agency. And so to just make things easier, we would just pay it. But there was no budget line for it. So it would come out of our, sorry, it would come out of our internal fund, right? So any revenue that we got, we were losing because we were paying all these tolls and citations. I didn't have one for $30,000, but I've had some citations, all the administrative flags, and the fees, it would total up to $8,000 for one citation because the driver was no longer present and these things had racked up and the agency was not being proactive in getting the citations paid. So you're exactly right. That can in fact impact your budget if you don't have a system in place, if you're not utilizing technology to track, and also if the vehicles are not tagged and registered to your agency. So how many fleet directors do we have here? We should have, get excited, okay, we have one. All right, so overall, right, all vehicles that belong to a municipality should be tagged and titled to the overseeing agency, which would be a fleet division, fleet management division. And that is the easiest way to ensure that you're keeping track of all tags and titles in citations. If it's coming to you, you can filter, you can sort, and you can manage and utilize the ticket citation system. I'm sorry. So let's transition to donations. Do we have any law enforcement here? Get excited. Okay. All right. So this is something that you sort of can perhaps relate to. So with nonprofit and government organizations, often they will receive a vehicle that has been donated from the estate. What is the best way to avoid judicial red tape so an organization may receive and utilize a donated vehicle? Would you like to take that one?
Yes. So if you're getting a vehicle donated, make sure that whoever's donating it is the legal owner and they can actually donate the vehicle. Make sure that they have the title. If it's from an estate, are they the executor of the estate and they can sign off on those vehicles? Making sure that the title does not have a lien on it. So those are some of the things that can stop you from being able to accept that donated vehicle.
So what if I don't have the opportunity to navigate those waters? What should I do?
So there are entities out there like us that can actually help you with that process and actually do a VIN search and say, hey, is this vehicle eligible for you to buy it? So that's one of the things that you can do. And then your local DMV, that's normally everybody goes to, is they can also assist with making sure that that vehicle is free and clear, that this is the actual owner of the vehicle, that this title is actually valid and it's not a old title. They went and got a duplicate title. Now this one is no longer valid. And then you may have a vehicle on your hands that you can do nothing with.
Thank you. So Laura and Tiffany, I'm going to kick this next question off to you. So many fleet managers serve public safety agencies, and frequently public safety agencies will receive a vehicle that is donated from an auto insurance company, or it is seized in a drug operation or just a various operation. So when these vehicles are seized and the public safety agency is looking to take that seized vehicle and put it in operations, what steps should a fleet manager take to avoid lengthy vehicle downtime and judicial/MVA red tape in order to take vehicles such as these, seizure vehicles and auto insurance vehicle donations? Tiffany, you want to start?
Yeah, I would say make sure that whoever is donating that to you, make sure that they cancel the registration on their end. And then also if they can transfer that title directly to your organization, or if they can do a transfer on debt title, that would definitely help you with your process.
Understood. So Laura, if I am working in law enforcement and hey, I'm seizing a vehicle legally, I can do that, right? And I want to put that seized Dodge Charger in my fleet operations. What steps can I take to make sure that I don't have any issues with MVA to make sure I have minimal downtime?
Honestly, I have never dealt with that. That has not come up. So I don't know if Carla, if you're more familiar with that.
So, yes. So when you have that type of, the steps that you would take with making sure that if you have a vehicle and you want to put it back into your fleet, do you have the court documents that's giving you the legal authority to take over of that vehicle?
I just can't seize the car. I'm like, oh, now I'm going to take this Hemi and put it in my fleet. I have to actually get court papers.
You have to have court documents to show that you were legally able to seize that vehicle. You can take those documents and then you can take ownership of that vehicle.
Get excited. That's going to be fun.
Now you may have downtime depending on how long the DMV takes.
You know the court system is backlogged.
Or how long the court system takes because they're backlogged. So
I asked that question because that's something that I also read into, and I had unfortunately several experiences with this. But then also, the courts. Now this is just for the state of Maryland. The courts said that they were neutral, right? That it was not something that they needed to intervene with. It was a matter for MVA. And what happened was that because it came from a chop shop, one particular vehicle. The VIN was not legal. The VIN was changed. So there was no real record. No one could track the actual vehicle. And so we still had to put it through state inspections. We still had to do all of these processes while we had to get power of attorney. We had to get the Office of Law involved, go to court and explain, hey, the vehicle actually came from a chop shop. The VIN is not a legitimate VIN. And because it's not a legitimate VIN, we need you to give the police department and fleet division the legal authority to take possession of the vehicle in order to put it in their operations. And that process took an entire year because it was a back and forth, not for anything that we did, but it was just legal red tape because the courts were saying, this is not a matter. NBA saying you need court documents to say, yes, this is a matter, and that the crux of it, the middle of it was it all, the VIN didn't exist. You were going to say something, sir?
Yeah, I'm from Texas.
Hold on, let me walk right
Texas RDMPs require us to have.
Hold on, you're making me walk the needles. Hold on. We have expiration date. Okay, sir. Go ahead.
I'm from Texas, and one of the requirements in Texas is that we have to have either the original court documents or a certified copy of court documents, so the DMV will not accept fake ones.
That's good.
So,
Yeah, and I found that each jurisdiction is different. Maryland, they're impartial. Washington, D.C. wants you to pay taxes, certain processing fees for documents before they will even explore. Exactly.
So every state is different, but at the end of the day, you have to have the court documents.
Yes. So trying to avoid that legal process, especially when you're serving public safety agencies, what I have found, and it was a learning curve for me, is making sure that the police department or the sheriff's office, when they're seizing these vehicles, that they have been proactive and they have gone and got the necessary paperwork saying that yes, the vehicle has been released by law enforcement, by the court system, and that they can take possession so we can go ahead and do state inspections, get a new VIN legally, and then put it into our system so that we can utilize it for whatever application it's like. Go ahead, Tiffany.
I think that this is an example of why you need a third party that has expertise across multiple jurisdictions. By having a third party, I think that this is a prime example of where your team may have an administrative overload to deal with an issue like this, and then you may not be paying your citations on time, or you may not be renewing your registrations on time, all because you're dealing with an issue such as this. I think that this is really a prime example of when you need a third party with expertise across multiple jurisdictions.
And I'm glad that you brought that up because it segues to our next question, so thank you. All right, so how can a local municipality or a private vendor work with a third-party business to manage their vehicle titles, registrations, and renewals? What 4 things should they look for? So if you can give us 4 things that someone should look for if they want to use a third-party vendor.
Does the business have a business license?
So it's not just right in a strip mall that they need to.
They might be in a strip mall. They have a location, but are they
License.
Are they licensed? Are they bonded? Are they a legitimate business?
Yeah.
But those, like, let's start with those 3. Are they a legitimate business? And then is it somebody that you want to do business with? Have you built a rapport with them that you can trust that they're going to get your stuff done in a timely manner? They're going to get it back to you. And if there's a hiccup, if there's a delay, are they going to communicate that with you? Those are really the top things to look for when you're want to do business with a third party. Have they registered with your municipality so that they can do business with you guys?
How long should they have been in business for? How many years of experience should a title management company have?
They might be new, but do they have the actual experience? So you may not have been in business long, but do you have the experience? Do you have the know-how? Can you get it done?
Laura?
She said it all. That is everything. And making sure that you can call them and they will answer that phone. And if you send an email, you're not waiting 2 weeks to get a response from an email. That means they're not ready or they're overloaded. And this is important because if you cannot drive your vehicle, you're not making money. And at the end of the day, your asset is not an asset. So making sure they're bonded, licensed, sometimes insured.
That's a good point. What should they look for with insurance?
Most municipalities are required like $1 million, aggregate general liability insurance. Like, do you have like just the bare minimum to do business?
Bare minimum $1 million insurance.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Do they have errors and omissions insurance? So if they make a mistake and they have to go back and fix it, if they don't fix it, then you can do it. Take their insurance policy and get it done. So those are really some of the things. Do they have the technology to be able to hold their documents? Can they scan your documents in? Can they keep a copy of it? If you don't have a copy, hey, I can go back to them, they have a copy. If they're storing my titles, what are they storing my titles in? Is it in a drawer? Well, I can keep it in a drawer at my own office. Do they have a safe? Do they have a vault? Do they have fireproof file cabinets that they're gonna store these titles in where I know that they're gonna be safe? Do they have a system where I may be able to log in and actually see the process, what step of the process they're in with my vehicle renewal or registration? So those are also some of the things when you're looking for a third-party vendor. Do they have any of this?
Very good. Tiffany, you were going to say?
Well, yeah, she said my fourth one was going to be real-time reporting. I think if you're not working with a third-party vendor that does real-time reporting, it's honestly a misuse of your funds. If you could do that in-house, if you're just going to store your titles, even in a fireproof safe, you could do that in-house. But I think the real-time reporting, and once again, taking that administrative overload off of your team, I definitely think that would be the last thing. It's just real-time reporting.
So I've heard at minimum $1 million insurance, licensed and bonded, that even if the company is new, the staff should have at least a decade of experience in working with tag title, that they are registered across multiple jurisdictions or municipalities, that they have a fleet management system to process their tag and title, that they are responsive. And one way is, I guess, positive reviews from other customers or clients that they have had, and also confirming what they're storing their titles in, because that's important. Have I hit everything?
Oh, that was everything.
Administrators? Any administrators? Any people that are dealing with procurement or bids?
Just
The other thing I would say is that if you are looking for a third-party vendor is when you're putting that bid out, in addition to the insurance and all that, but asking for resumes of who is going to be on your team. That way you can see what their years of experience are and what their niche expertise is. So you know that when you're getting that third-party vendor, they're actually fitting your operational needs.
very good. Thank you. Yes, making sure that the scope of work when you're doing the IFB is clear and succinct to what your needs are. A lot of times people will pull something off of Sourcewell, or they'll go off of a blanket purchase order from their state, and they never amend the scope of work. So the contractor that wins the bid they're not happy with the services, but technically the contractor is going along with what was listed in the scope of work from Sourcewell or from that blanket purchase order or solicitation from the state. So you're exactly right, making sure that that scope of work is edited in detail to what you need the vendor to specifically do, and making sure that if there are any breaches of that contract where they can't meet the scope of work, that you have penalties embedded in that scope of work to ensure that insurance is present, that they're up to date, and that if something happens, at least your municipality is able to recoup some of the funds from, if something should occur. But you've never had that issue, so you don't have to worry.
No, and also making sure, can they float the money to register your vehicles? That costs money.
Yeah.
And, that's just the cost of doing business, making sure that they can float it. Can they wait the 30 days? Not everybody's not paying on a net 30, even though they say they're gonna pay net 30, it doesn't always happen. So can they float that without it impacting their business? Because that ultimately will impact how much more business they can do for you.
So, municipality looking to hire a third vendor, would you recommend that they have a total cost of their fleet and then present that to the potential third party vendors, so the way they know, okay, my fleet is worth $8.5 million. So you have $8.5 million that you can support the tag, title, and registration for my fleet.
Exactly. At minimum, how many vehicles will you need us to assist you with in your fleet? Like and sometimes you don't get exactly how many are in the fleet, or that number changes throughout the process. So, also some flexibility with each other on where that is.
Understood. So I'm going to ask this last question, and then I'm going to open it up to everyone, and we can have a discussion. I'm sorry, I'm leaving track back. We have 2 gift bags to give away. So we'll ask 2 questions, and then open it up to the audience. So when a vehicle comes to end of life, right, it needs to be decommissioned, what steps should a fleet manager for a municipality take for a tag and title? Or if they are hiring a third party, what should that third party vendor employ when decommissioning a vehicle?
First and foremost is having that title. And then after that is making sure that you cancel that registration, because a lot of times they forget to take the license plates off the vehicles, and it can rack up citations.
So I can't just send the car to auction? No. I have to actually find the title and cancel the registration?
Well, if you're using a third party, they can cancel that registration for you, but you have to make sure they have that title first.
A clean title, no lien.
I'm sorry?
A clean title with no lien.
Correct, a clean title with no lien.
So what happens if the title is not clean, if there's a lien on, can I still get the vehicle?
No, because you legally don't own that vehicle, so you do not have the right to just decommission that vehicle. You have to get in contact with that lien holder to get an original lien release, and then go through your agency to receive a free and clean title in your company's name or your county's name.
Understood. Okay. Walking over.
Sorry, I could have spoke loud enough for you. Question about that. So when you have a total vehicle, do you just get rid of it with that clean title, or do you transfer the title to a salvage title or rebuild title? What happens in that before you recycle that vehicle, or however you dispose of that vehicle? What happens in that process?
So within that scenario, you're basically giving it to the salvage yard, or the insurance company is going to then take ownership of that vehicle, and then they would get the title put in their name, and then they would do what they do with it in order, depending on what they do with the vehicle after it's totaled or it's no longer.
I ask because we have this situation happen often, and so the insurance company requires us to get the salvage title first, and then they will take the vehicle. So they don't do it. We have to do it, and it's very difficult for the city to do a salvage title. That's why I was asking that question.
So can you name off 3 things that the panelists listed that you should look for in a third-party title management company?
Sure.
Go ahead, sir.
Commissions and state insurance, resumes for being able to do the work properly, and
One more, come on, one more, because she wants to get you.
funding. Make sure they've got enough funding to carry this out.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
Get excited. I'll let you hand it off, Laura. Okay, so we are at the end. So thank you all. I would like you all to give yourselves a round of applause for staying awake and